So I just finished playing Expedition 33 for a couple hours. I didn't get super far, but I really, really want to tell you guys my first impressions. And these are like no script. Literally, I just turned the game off. First impressions. When I play a JRPG, I want story. I want story. I want world and characters. And if it doesn't have that going for it, it really is not going to be a good game, in my opinion. A good JRPG. I'm loving what I'm seeing and experiencing so far. The first thing that really caught my eye or my ear was the actors and the voice acting and the facial expressions, which could definitely only be done with mocap. If they keyframe that shit, God bless them.
What, the flower or Sophie?
Ooh, dark. Sophie would approve. Hey, you said it, not me. The others are waiting for you. You're supposed to be helping with the festival.
With what? Putting up 3 tables? They'll manage.
You underestimate Lumiere's enthusiasm for the expedition. There's at least 5 tables.
Marvelous.
It's not over the top or cringy, which can happen in JRPGs, let's be real. It feels very grounded, the dialogue and the voice acting, and they really, they pulled me in to this world that really could have went off the rails pretty easily. I mean, there's a paintress and she's off on some island, like in the distance on the horizon, and she's painting a number. It looked like a giant tree, and the number counts down every year, and every year that age group dies. So the population's getting younger and younger every year because he's painting the numbers lower and lower and lower. Starts out as 34, then she paints it once a year, turns down to 33. Everybody above 33
Could we talk?
gets Thanos snapped, basically. That easily could have just been like over the top and corny. But the dialogue and the acting and the voice acting feels so grounded that it really grounds this sort of like crazy, fantastical idea into the ground. It grounds it into the ground. Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. It makes too much sense, actually.
That's for your, if there's room.
There's always room.
But it makes it believable, you know? It really does. And I believe this story, and I want to know more about this story and the characters. And I won't like spoil it, but there's a scene down at the harbor at the end of the prologue. And it's not like a crazy spoiler, obviously, because the game just started. But man, it made me like emotional. I didn't like cry or anything, but I felt so sad for these people who have to, you see it when you walk through town, they have to deal with this every year, and you see different people's reactions to it. Some have just accepted it as a way of life.
I knew he would.
Other people are a little more rebellious and they want to do something about it. That's how it would be, you know? You wouldn't go into town and everybody's super duper gung-ho and come on, everybody's signing up for the expedition. Let's go and take down this bitch. No, some people, if you see this year after year after year after year for decades on end, some people would just be like, you know what? I have 1 year left. Let me live my best life down here. And you guys go do your thing. But I'm just going to be here and be content and be happy. And, you know, the main character, Gustav, who still looks like Robert Pattinson to me. And that's cool because Robert Pattinson is a great actor. I know it's not him, and I'm sorry to the actual actor who plays him. That's just was my first thought. I'm sorry you guys look alike, all right? Make sure you get a DNA test. But yeah, the world is so cool. It's like this neo-apocalyptic France or Paris or something. Everybody has on this, like, what is the French version of of
This is great.
Victorian times,
See you at the
Victorian
festival?
French,
Don't leave without
Belle
saying goodbye.
Epoque. Everybody's like wearing like this Belle Epoque like type clothing, and it's so unique, and I don't think I've ever really seen something like that in a video game. The setting is so cool. It was cool in the trailers, but it's even cooler to play it and look around and see it. Okay, so that's the prologue, and you're meeting characters, and like it's super sad and bittersweet, but
Where's mine?
there's like a hopefulness also. There's kind of like there is like a rebelliousness bubbling under the surface, because people are kind of just
Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah.
they are just getting kind of tired of living this way. They want to do something about it. And that's really intriguing, because once you know, set off on your adventure and you come across, and you have a crazy beach landing, by the way, which is fucking cool. And yeah, you wake up and basically are on the island, and it's like kind of like this beautiful like forest, and I don't know. So yeah, those are like the vibes. The vibes are immaculate. In case you can't tell, I love the vibes. I love the characters, and the story so far is really, really good. And there is some, where I left off, there is some like breadcrumbs for me to follow, which I'm very excited to get into. The combat is very much like Persona, but with some quick time event type stuff that has to do with dodging and parrying, and you can actually aim like third person style and shoot your gun or magic spells at enemies' weak points. I haven't figured it all out, because I haven't, you know, delved so deep into the combat, but there's like skill trees, and there's passives that you can equip, and if you equip them long enough and win enough battles, you can just have them permanently, and then you can just unequip the passive and keep the permanent passive to make room for other passives. I just said passives a lot. Each character is unique in battle, in that they each have their own like kit or special unique trait about them. Gustav has an arm that he can overcharge and do a lot of damage, and you can overcharge it by blocking, parrying, and just doing regular attacks, and it builds up, you know, to a powerful spell or skill that you can use. And I haven't really figured out the one for Lune, who's the second party member you get, and my only party member. She's my only friend. And for hers, she creates stains. I don't know how to explain it, because I'm not looking at it. You use a skill, like a fire skill, and you get like a fire stain, and then you can spend those stains to do even stronger skills. I think it's something like that. When I have more experience with the battle system, I'll deep dive into it, because it looks like there's a lot of nuance to it, and there's a lot of ways you can build out your character, almost Western RPG style, with allocating skill points into like defense or crit chance or just vitality, stuff like that, strength. If you like JRPGs, I think you would like this game. I cannot recommend it just because this is a first impressions, but I think you would like this game if you like Persona, if you like JRPGs. It did crash once on my PC. I don't know, my PC was like bugging out. Oh, okay. All right, let me tell you guys something. The entire time I was playing for 2.5 hours, for about 2 of those, the controls were like fucking
Well, that will help.
so bad that I was like on the verge of exiting out and like shitting on this game, because I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I would press the W key and nothing would happen, and I was like, dude, is my keyboard like broken or something? And I'd be clicking, nothing would happen, and I was like, okay, maybe it says it's recommended on controller, so I'll plug in my controller. That's fine. I'll plug in my controller. It's even worse on the controller. I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? I'm clicking, and like it's like it can't read my input, because it's going back and forth between like the face buttons. Like the prompts are going back and forth between the face buttons and the key binds. And I'm like, what in the fuck? Like, E is to interact and X is to interact on Xbox controller. And it would just go back and forth, and nothing would work. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I remembered, oh, you dumbass. You're playing on Game Pass, not Steam. So yeah, I pull up my thing and I had to exit out of Steam, and that fixed all my problems. Because if you don't know, you cannot have Steam open while you play on Game Pass. It will fuck everything up for some reason. It just, the Steam controls overrides the Xbox app or whatever. So if you're playing on Game Pass, do not have Steam open. And if you're playing on Steam, you probably should have Steam open. And yeah, so that's that. That was the only really bad thing. There was some stuttering, some frame stuff, but look, I'm not like a fucking PC guru, okay? I turned my settings up to high. I capped my frames at 60, and it ran pretty well for me on my 3050, which is like an average graphics card. So make of that what you will. I know there's way more to PC configuration than just your graphics card, but I'm not going to get into it because nobody gives a fuck. They want to know, would I like this game? Yes, you would like this game. Simple as that. If you're into JRPGs, if you're into good stories, good characters, good acting, great acting, subtle voice acting too, and facial expressions. That's what really made me care about these characters more than I thought I would. It actually reminds me of Frieren, Beyond Journey's End, the anime, in that way, because you get very attached to the characters within like the first episode and within the first prologue act. I was already very attached to these characters. So I'm excited to see where the story goes and how the gameplay evolves as I unlock more passives and more skills and I allocate more points and all that good stuff that comes along with role-playing games. So yeah, I love it.